All right. Y'all come on in. As we're waiting on Sherry, we'll go ahead and get, started. Y'all already know what time it is. It's the Couch Chronicles. Where ain't no fucking limits.
For the Couch Chronicles, where there ain't no fucking limits.
Every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 8 Central Time. You don't never want to miss a couch. Trust me. It ain't no fucking limits. I said none.
Y'all, come on in. Come on in. As we're about to get it started. Hey, Sherry, how you feel?
If I give up, then it be all for nothing. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. And on my time now, I have to prove something. On my time, I did on my time. I said what I said, and I don't do no bluffing. And I'm trying to stand on my word, and I promise you, yeah. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. My time, I did my time. I said what I said, and I don't do no bluffing. And I'm trying to I'm gonna be something. So if you was out and I'll show you how I make my own plan. No man don't take me off nowhere. But if you take me there, I'll show you why I don't play. It ain't a game. You say you can't for who you call. That's why it pays to be the boss. Yeah. One call I can get you hard. And they be busting you down like some salt. Yeah, really don't gotta say much. But you can see that I got all the stuff. Yeah. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. And on my time now, I do something. On my time, I did on my time. I said what I said, and I don't do no bluffing. And I'm still on my word, and I promise you, yeah. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. I did my time now, I did my time. I did what I said, and I don't do no bluffing. And I'm still on my word, and I promise you, and I'm my word. And I promise to God, if I don't become great, it's because they can't handle the real. And if I'm lying, put down on the Bible. We about to call it a deal. People be lying, let's keep it a bill. The shit you be saying, I can't even feel. So a lot of times I'm so low, cause people be switching like roles in the film. I don't have time for the haters, and I don't have time to be playing these games. If I said something, I meant it. I'm setting examples, I don't wanna be like these things. I made a name for myself, no one really gave me no help. I came in the game, and I swear I did it again. I don't need you to apologize, you were to show me who you are. Not even judging you, just saying that what you just say, you would have a scar. I'm doing great, I get to the bank, I know how to pay. If I cut you off, it's cause you was fake and I won't see you later. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. And on my time now, I have to prove something. On my time, I did on my time. I said what I said, and I don't do no bluffing. And I'm trying to I stand on my word, and I promise you, yeah. If I give up, then it be all for nothing. If I give up, I did my time. I did my time. I said what I said, and I don't do no bluffing.
Y'all, it's the Couch Chronicles where it ain't no fucking limits. I do this every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 Central Time. Follow Couch Chronicles No Limits on Spotify, Pandora, THA Couch on Facebook, TikTok, and Big O. Couch Chronicles No Limits on Instagram, and my main YouTube Instagram, and my .com, which is THA, real JANELL. Today is Prison Jail Felon Talk, and we got Sherry Hock, also known as Officer Williams, on the couch. Welcome in, welcome in. That's fine. Let me make sure I can hear you on. Okay, let me make sure I turn you all the way up.
Okay, I'll scoot it forward a little.
Okay,
I feel
no, you're
like
good.
it's louder inside the house, so.
Right. Okay. Can you tell everybody where you're from and where you're located?
I'm from Shawnee, Oklahoma, and I kind of moved a lot. I didn't have the best childhood growing up, so I kind of moved around a lot. But I'm in Tecumseh, Oklahoma now. So.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up?
There's a lot of trauma. I mean, my dad, I'll just say this, it's my testimony, but my dad got shot when I was 5 years old. I seen it, and so did my brother. And then he had a drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and kind of the same thing with my mother. I mean, she had a bad past. And I mean, there's just a lot. But there was a lot of things that, it relates why a lot of people end up in corrections. Like, not just, the staff, but the inmates.
Right. Right.
People don't understand, because I could easily been locked up myself, Nobody's perfect.
Exactly. Now
you realize that.
Now, you did used to be an officer at Mabel Bassett Correctional Center, correct?
Yes.
And
yes.
What made you apply?
Well, to be honest, I was going through a divorce with my first husband, my 2 children's father, and I worked at Pot County Jail, and they put me on overnights, and I was a single mother of 2 children, and so I was like, I need something better. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to work there.
Okay.
And I wanted to try to help people, wasn't a lot of people mix me with being judgmental, but unless you actually get to know me, then you know the truth.
Right. So. Right. Now, what was training like for you at Mabel's?
So when I worked there, it was in 2015, and it was kind of rough with the training, but it was kind of a joke at the same time. Like, they were teaching us things that when I was younger, I used to get in fights at school and stuff.
Right.
And when you get an altercation with somebody, I felt like they were teaching us dance moves, to be honest, but I don't know, maybe they can have legit reason why they taught that. But I feel like it was a waste of time and money, because everything that we learned, we didn't do there. I mean, I feel like you learn when you go to college. That's when you actually learn stuff. Because I go to college too for criminal justice, and that's where I learned a lot of things. I mean, having the experience working in corrections, seeing it, for yourself is one thing, but you don't know all, like, the rules. You don't know, I'm trying to think, sorry.
It's okay.
Like, the statutes, I don't know anything. You just go to an academy that you think you're learning things, but honestly, I don't think I learned anything except because, we'll get to it. You just keep asking me, because I can talk about it all day.
Now, what type of educational background do you have to work in that type of facility?
None. You don't have to have any. I wasn't graduated from college. Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be a correctional officer, you don't have to have any education. You just go through, I don't remember how many weeks it was, because that was like 9 years ago. My memory's terrible. But you just went to an academy and you learned the little things, which, like I said, I didn't even really learn anything, to be honest, which maybe that's just my opinion. And then if you want to be like a case manager or a unit manager, you have to have some type of college degrees. And that's in other positions. They want college degrees.
Right.
Which I don't even think it matters what the degree's in, which I don't agree on that.
Right. Exactly. Now, how long did you work at Mabel Bassett?
I think I only worked there a little over 2 years. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I've had so much happen since then.
Yeah, no, you good. You're good.
But when I left Mabel's, I worked at another jail too. So I had a lot of experience in that.
Okay. Now, did you want to just get the experience because you were studying justice, or?
Felt like I wanted to help. If I could help somebody, even one person, then that would make me feel good.
And do you feel like as you worked there that you did get to help people or women?
No, in a way I do. If I could speak for somebody who actually just messaged me how I got a hold of you, she said some positive things, and it was all, I mean, if she wants, I wish she'd get on here. It's kind of funny, but it's all sad. And she told me that if it wasn't for me having her locked up, then she wouldn't have changed, her life, and it just made me feel good. And I'm getting all emotional, but it's sad.
It's okay.
People do not realize what people go through, you know?
Right.
And I'll be honest, I was a little judgmental at first towards inmates. I was, though, and most of the ones I dealt with knew what to expect from me.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up in the environment I did, it was hard not to be judgmental, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, what broke you out of the judgmental phase?
Well, besides my brother being murdered in 2017, I graduated with my associates, and I just kept doing more training and just hearing people's stories. And then I just realized, you know, I mean, I'm religious too. No one's perfect, but it was just hard. It was more hard for me to deal with people who had a drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not from my childhood, but because my ex-husband had the same problem. And I wasn't just judgmental to like inmates, but to anybody who had a drug problem, until I actually loved someone who had it. And I guess I didn't realize it until I went through it, if that makes sense.
Right.
Watched go through it. Like my whole life I've been around people with addiction, and so when you don't do it, it's hard, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Hard watching people go through that.
Right, exactly. Now, did you find it hard to let go? Did you stay with that person even through it all, or did you end up leaving them?
I stayed with them.
Okay. So that's what made you change your whole mind about that, you know?
In a way, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And all the training, like I thought, oh yeah, cops, criminals, you do the crime, you do the time. Like, you know, that's just what they make you think. But then I took all these classes, and it's called Critical Issues in Criminal Justice. That class helped me a whole lot, because there's so many issues in criminal justice. There really is.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And everyone's like, always like, it's the inmate, but it's not. And I learned that when I worked at Mabel's. I had more respect from inmates than I did the staff members. And that's honestly why I quit there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Besides my brother being killed, I was just sick of it.
Now, can we get in a little more detail about your brother?
Yeah.
What was that situation like? How did that happen? And can you tell us?
So he was only 24 years old, and he had a girlfriend who lived in Oklahoma City, but he's not from there. And he was helping a homeless guy and his girlfriend out, and he let them stay. Like, they became friends, and he let them stay, but stuff started getting heated. I don't really know everything, because there's only one witness, and she died. But so he helped the guy left, and then he told me he needed to go, and then they got into an altercation, and then the guy left his girlfriend there. And then the guy came back and had a knife and stabbed my brother right in the chest. Mm. And it's hard when you don't have no witnesses, you know? Mm. So, but this guy, like, there's some people who deserve another chance. And then sometimes you get those people who you just know don't need to be out, if that makes sense.
No, that does make a lot of sense. Now,
and that's why our system needs to be fixed. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Now, when that happened, how did that make you feel? And what did you go through emotionally? And how did you take it out on the people that?
Well, I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. I think I was about 8 months pregnant when he got killed. And I'm like the glue to my family. And like everybody was just devastated. And I had to do the funeral and everything because no one was able to do it. Mm-hmm. And it was hard. I'm not going to lie. After I had my daughter, I ended up drinking, and I never drank. But I drank for like 6 months until I got with my husband now. Like, he helped me quit drinking because I didn't need to drink. My dad was an alcoholic. Sorry, I have one out here.
It's okay.
Sorry. But it was rough. You know, I just, and that's another thing that helped me not be so judgmental, because I read upon other people's stories, and some people have forgiven their families or friends, their loved ones' murder, you know? And that was hard. That was very hard. But when we had the last meeting at the court, I told him that I forgave him.
Oh, wow.
But I know I could just tell that he wasn't sorry.
So did that make you once you said, "Hey, I forgive you," and you looked at him and you can see that he wasn't sorry, did it make you want to take it back?
No.
Okay.
Because I know that people always want revenge, but we are not the ones to do that.
Right.
You know, I believe that God will punish people when it's their time.
Right.
And another reason why, like, everyone's like, "What, eye for an eye?" And I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, did you make any friends with any other officers or inmates?
With officers, not really. I didn't get along with them. There was a lot of dirty staff members, and I tried my hardest to do my job. They're like, there was a time that I took Sharpies away because that's what I was told to do. I take the Sharpies away, and then I get in trouble by another staff member for taking them away. And it was a never-ending battle. It's like, okay, so do you want me to do my job? Not want me to do my job.
Right.
And there was just so much corruption there. And it's sad. You know, I was watching your video, I think 2 days ago, and people do not realize it unless they're either incarcerated there or working there and actually caring. Because if you don't care, then you're just going to let it, go.
Right.
Like, oh.
Comment, it says, "I thought I was your friend."
Oh, no.
That's
I'm
a
not
Tim
looking
Bay.
at the comments. Sorry.
It's okay. It's a Tim Bay.
Oh, yes, I remember him. He was awesome.
Yeah.
We paintballed before, but yeah, I try to be friends with people, but then I started realizing you have to watch your back. You really do.
Right.
And I could just sit here and say a lot of things, but I'm trying not to get in trouble too. So.
Right. I do want to get into a little bit of the corruption. Like,
okay.
What type of corruption did you go through or witness, or that kind of made you go, I don't want to kind of hang out with that person, or I don't want to be around or associated with that person?
Well, so there was 2 males that were officers, and they were higher up than me. And I was supposed to do a search because you have to. It's mandatory to do searches, and they're random. Well, I say that, but you may get some officers who are picking on inmates. But I had to do a search because I think I remember you had to do like 2, no matter what, a day. And I got not really like a tip to go check this room. And when I went to go check this room, all of a sudden these 2 sergeants show up and they tell me to go. And I was like, the heck? And I thought, well, that's odd. And then it started happening more and more. And then long story short, one was working there no more. And then the other one ended up getting in trouble too. So they were not good staff members, but I kind of just felt it.
Right. Why do you think they didn't want you to search the room?
Because I think they were in on something. Like, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was a lot. There was a lot to it. Like, I figured it out, how it all works. And I was like, I just can't do this.
Right.
Because there's no rehabilitation. There's no rehabilitation. I know I repeated myself, and I even tell my classmates this. There's not. How is anyone going to change or do better if there's corruption, not even from the inmates, but the correctional officers or some doctors or teachers, like, it is just, it's wrong.
Right. Wow. And
because, oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, because the inmates are supposed to be able to look up to them because they don't have their family there. They're away from their friends, and that's their home until however long it has to be. And they should be able to trust them, and you can't. And that's what makes it so hard when you got some that do their job and then some that don't do their job. And there's so much inconsistency, and it makes it just a mess.
Right. Did you ever almost find yourself kind of slipping into that corruption just because maybe the money might have been good or the offer might have been nice? Or
No, I got told I was mean a lot, but as far as I know, I got respected for the most part. And people would know I would never cuss. I just don't. I do every now and then. I'm not perfect, but I wouldn't cuss. So if anyone ever said, Officer Williams cussed, they'd be like, no, you lying.
Right.
Now, I may have called someone dumb before, but that's if they were doing something dumb. But, I mean, there was an inmate that died, and I wasn't there that time, and it was a unit that I always on. And I mean, I can't say, oh, I'm perfect, but I felt like if I would have been there, then maybe that could have been prevented, because you get officers who are not doing security checks because they're up there sleeping or horse playing, or, you know, and that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just sad. If people are doing their jobs, then stuff could be prevented. I mean, it's going to happen, but, you know, some of that stuff could have been prevented.
Right. Right. Now, how do you feel that DOC handles murder, just any type of death, mental health issues, or medical issues?
They don't do a good job at it. And especially the medical, like I had to sit with hospital, at the hospital a lot, which I actually enjoyed it, to be honest, which most people hated it, but it was getting away from all the staff members. Like it was a break, you know. It's a very exhausting job mentally. It's like the easiest physical job, but mentally it wears you out.
Right.
And I feel like that with the staff. I got in a lot of, I would say, disagreements with the staff members, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Now, and I do want to touch base on that, because you said you had a lot of disagreements and they wasn't very nice to you. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what type of treatment did they, extend to you? Like, what did they do that made you feel like?
There's a lot. There's a lot. But for one, I would work on a unit with like 400 and something females. If I may be wrong on the number, but, and all the doors are not being locked down because, they're putting stuff in the doors, and it's overcrowded. There's so many in the day rooms. And then you get officers who don't do their jobs, and they just let everyone run around and do what they're supposed to do. But everybody knows, I think it's 10 o'clock. I don't remember, it's been a while. Head count. I show up and I have to do head count, and everybody's running around, and it's like, what in the heck,
Right.
So it's like, how can I do my job if you're not doing your job? And so I would get into it. People would cuss at me, and it would make me mad because I don't cuss, and it would just make me really mad. But I mean, that's one example, but there's a lot. Like, there's been times that there was an inmate, which I don't even like calling them inmates, like people, residents. That sounds better. Residents. Yeah. These two girls were a couple, and they were getting in a fight, and it was a really bad fight. And I called in, and nobody would come. And so I had to go down there and do it myself, because even though they were together, sometimes they would beat the crap out of each other, like put one in the hospital bad, And so I had to figure out how to resolve that on my own. And that's not right. I should have had someone there to help me,
Right.
And it's not like, oh, I'm scared or anything like that. It's just that, like, I could get sued, or something,
Yeah.
And that's not right. So, I mean, I can tell you what I did, because no one ain't going to know. There's so many stories that happen, but it's up to you.
Right. Now, why didn't the other officers come when you called them?
I honestly have no idea. But there was a lot of times like that.
Do you feel like it was because they were short in staff, or is that an excuse helping another officer just because you guys are short of staff, or because you don't like the inmate?
Well, when I worked there, I feel like we were never short on staff, because if it came down to it, there was always someone running the yard, and that yard officer could have always helped.
Right.
So that's not an excuse. I just think, I'm telling you, I had a lot of enemies with the staff members. I don't know if it's because they were all dirty. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I just try to do my job, and and that's another thing. If the females ever did anything, like, I didn't get toilet paper, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, I wouldn't give them heck about it. I'd give it to them, because then I sit there and think, well, I couldn't imagine being without toilet paper. Like, I just don't understand. Why can't you just do your job?
Right.
And that's why I had problems. I got mad at people for not doing their jobs.
Do you think that they didn't want to do their job because they either didn't like the inmate, or they just wanted to use their badge and just...
It could have been both. It could have been both. And then a lot of times they don't, officers don't get paid enough, and then they just get too comfortable and just not care anymore.
Right.
There's a lot to it. Like, there was so many different reasons why that could have happened.
Right. And you said the inmates treated you better. Can you explain?
Well, because if I needed them, a lot of them, not all of them, but if I needed them to do what they needed to do,
right,
wouldn't have no issue.
Mm-hmm.
If I need help from the staff members, it was an issue. Certain shifts, not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just got more respect from them than I did the staff members. That's what I mean by that.
You think the other officers might have been jealous because of that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And not everybody, I'm not going to lie. Some inmates hated my guts and said, wait till I get out, I'll kill you, Yes.
Now, I'm laughing, but how does that make you feel when you hear that?
I'm just like, if you kill me, I know I'm going to heaven, so I don't care. It don't matter, It's hard, it's hard being in there. Nobody knows unless they're there.
Right.
I felt like I was in prison, it was hard.
Yeah.
And then you can't have your phone, and then you can't check on your kid, So I'm not feeling what they're feeling, but it is hard. Right.
You're feeling in a different way.
Isolated, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you feel like staff did enough for the inmates?
Not all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for just like at jails, and I did internship with juveniles, and I couldn't do that. That broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get the corruption.
Right. Now, have you ever had any officers tell you, hey, anytime that inmate right there asks you something, don't even gonna lie to you and give you have you ever had another officer tell you, wow? And did you take...
I just didn't listen to him because I'm going to give someone a chance.
Right. Right. A lot of times, I know when I was on the yard and if I had a bad reputation with one officer, they'll try to bug in other officers' ears to try to make them just either treat me different or single me out every time they get a chance because they know I'm up to something. That type of shit would make you hate an officer, or would make you tell them, hey, I'm gonna kill you when I get out. Or, there's only two officers that I just really to this day, if I seen them, I wouldn't even speak. If they was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, I wouldn't even give a fuck. Like, don't say shit to me. But, other than that, I try to make sure that I don't have any of those type of feelings. So it's good that you had, inmates that did like you and that, even inbox you to this day. That's dope.
Yeah, I ran into one a few years ago in Shawnee, and it caught me off guard. I didn't even know she was from Shawnee. And she looked at me. She goes, oh, my gosh, you look so different. You're not in a uniform. I said, well, I am human. And then another one I seen at the jail, worked at Seminole County Jail in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, what are you doing here? And I was like, my question is, what are you doing here? You're supposed to stay out of trouble.
Right.
But, if I could go back, I wish I would have been a lot nicer. Now, I wasn't disrespectful, but a lot of them were like, you're mean. But it's because I wanted people to get their life together and to get the heck out of there. But I guess I'm not good at showing my feelings.
Right. A lot of times whenever you try to, because you're a mother,
mm-hmm.
so you try to, speak out of a motherly, just a way. And sometimes it comes off the wrong way because, we locked up. We like, you're not my mama. Like, I'm going to change if I want to change. I'm not going to change because you told me to change or because you write me a misconduct. That type of treatment just makes you resent someone, just makes you just look at them like, do you think you're fucking better than me? That type of shit. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Now, it's better that now and you didn't go your whole life without knowing. So
Yep. I know. I'm going to tell you what I want to do, which everyone's going to be like, but
yeah, I do want to know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, I want to know.
Oh, okay. I'm considering being either a parole or probation officer when I finish school.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe for DOC. I haven't decided.
Right.
I just really want to help people, like, if I can in any way. Because when I went to that juvenile center, seeing those kids, you know, I grew up in that same environment when I was younger.
Right.
And people don't realize it can easily be you. It can easily be her, him. It don't matter. They don't realize it. And I have and that's something that inmates never knew. I have a whole lot of family that's been to prison and in and out of jail. And actually, my dad had friends that left there and was like, your daughter's mean. He was like, no, she's not mean. She just wants.
Right.
Sorry, I would, because it made some people, and I hope they didn't think that. But, I mean, even to this day, it don't have to be someone in jail. I come off the wrong way. I have a lot of haters, but even though they hate me, I'd still do anything to help someone.
Right. What's your zodiac sign?
I don't know. I'm not into that.
When's your birthday?
February 1st.
Okay. If y'all just now tuning in, it's the Couch Chronicles where it ain't no fucking limits. I do this every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 Central Time. Follow Couch Chronicles No Limits on Spotify, Pandora, THA Couch on Facebook, TikTok, and Big O. Couch Chronicles No Limits on Instagram, and my main YouTube Instagram, and my .com, which is CHA, real JANELL. I got Sherry Hock on the couch, so make sure that you follow her on all social media platforms. I'm going to keep going with this interview. Usually I play music in between, but we ain't going to do all of that because I got a guest tonight. So my next question is, did you ever dread going into work? I know some people dread going to work. Did you dread going into work, or did you was like, you know, I can handle this?
Yes, a lot.
How did you deal with that?
Well, I used to not call in until they started ticking me off. Then I started calling in, or just let me do hospital stay, whatever. But like, there was just some really messed up things that I'm sure someone could sue and get away with it. But I don't have the best luck. But like, one time I got hurt at work and I had a walking boot, and they were having me do things you don't do in a walking boot. Like, I had to drive a car in a walking boot, and I was like, first of all, that's against the law. Even if you're not working, you don't drive. You're not really supposed to drive with your foot. That's the law.
Right.
And there was just dumb things. And I mean, there's a lot of people I know that quit working up there because they were just sick of the negativity and drama from the staff.
Right. You know, and it doesn't make it a safe environment to work in when you have to handle a vehicle with the messed up foot. A boot that doesn't even allow you to do all the movements that you need to do.
Yep. And then there was another time after I had my daughter, I went back to work because I kind of debated on going back to work, and they put me on nights, and I breastfed. And so I had a pump, and I told them that I needed a room where I could do that privately. And one officer was like, oh, you can just do it in the bathroom. And I was like, no, would you eat in the bathroom? And so I kind of got into it with her. And then they gave me a room, but the door didn't lock. And then someone walked in on me when I was pumping, and I freaked out, and it was a male, which I don't care if it was a male or a female. And then they were trying to blame me for that. And I was like, no, if you look up the laws for breastfeeding, they were supposed to provide me a safe, clean place to do that.
Oh, wow.
And that was my last straw. That's when I finally quit, because I was just like, I'm sick of this.
Right, because they didn't treat you like a human. They treated you as if you were an inmate in a way, you know, because they didn't. Do you feel like they treated the inmates with good treatment? Did you feel like the facility was in a good state at all times?
There was not fair or consistency to staff or inmates. But I don't think that was just there. That's at every jail and prison. Like, and just like anybody that has to go to court, you know, it's all up to how the judge feels. Right. It's just wrong.
What do you think that another staff member or an officer, or, you know, what can they do in that type of environment to make the facility or make the stay better? And not saying that we want you to make the stay like a Holiday Inn but what do you think that they can do?
If they Well, first of all, I think they all need better training, to be honest. They need better training, and they need to know, like, I know there's mental health separate for inmates, but they need to be able to tell. They need more training in mental health, even as officer, all staff members, I think.
Right.
And they need to make sure that whether it's male, female, all have what they need. Like if they need toilet paper,
Right.
what they need,
Right.
And not be inconsistent. You can't have one staff member say no and then the other say yes, and then it makes it hard on, like, for instance, if someone's trying to do their job and do a really good job at it, and you got someone else who just doesn't care. And I hate to put it this way, but it's kind of like a kid. It's like one parent says yes and the other parent says no, and then the kid's confused. And that's kind of like how I'm pointing it as in that way. Like, that's not fair. Like, and then the officer that's trying to do their job is going to get upset. Heck, that's not right. Like, they need to be structure, and there needs to be action for people, because there's not.
Right. Now, what benefits did you receive while working there?
Health benefits. I got health, dental, vision.
Okay.
I mean, it was good for the state, but I didn't really get any other benefits. I mean, we got paid overtime, but I'm sure that's changed by now. There's a lot changes, every year. But I mean, I made good money for a single mom by all the overtime that I did.
But for the most part, you felt like you were a likable officer.
50-50 maybe. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I had some that just hated my guts, but I don't know what they were going through or what they've been told. But I'm not there to be liked,
Right.
I'm there to try to help people.
Right.
That's where you're there. You're not there to make friends. I mean, if you make friends, then great, but you're there to help. You're not there to judge people. You're not there to torture people. You're there to help people, and people don't realize that. They really don't. Not just detention officers, like police officers. They let that badge get to their head, and they don't do what they need to do.
That's exactly right. Do you feel like the officers, some of them, even maybe you, do you feel like any of you guys were disrespectful to certain inmates, like if they were in there for like raping someone or something like that you just didn't agree with, or a drug addict or an alcoholic?
Well, I did not want to know why someone was in there, because, to be honest, I don't know if I could, because I have kids. I don't think it would be hard for me to be fair to someone. So that's why I didn't want to know, but I still wouldn't, I had to work at a jail with males. They called it a certain pod, just for pedophiles.
Right.
And that made my stomach turn, but I still had to give them their I still had to do my job, but that's just part of being in that, working in that environment. No matter what, you still have to do your job.
Right.
You can't let your feelings affect anything.
Right.
But it was hard. That's why I was like, I don't want to know. I even had some inmates try to tell me what they did. I was like, go away. I don't want to know.
Right.
But I do. I think, man, people probably thought I was rude, but that's just me. I sound like I'm rude, but I'm not. And I'll talk to anybody, strangers. I'll talk their ears off.
Right.
That's just how I am.
Now, did you ever find yourself in a situation where you had to use your badge? Basically, your point across, like, I'm badge. I can trump whatever you say anyway. Like if an inmate was giving you an issue.
Not that I recall.
Okay. Now, have you ever lied on an inmate?
No. Well, I got confused about that individual we're talking about earlier, but that was, you in a bubble and you think you see something. I mean, but that ended up being positive for her, but I didn't lie on her.
Right. So. Because if you can admit it, even being in a position that you are, that means a lot to another inmate, that's in that situation. to see an officer like, hey, I'm actually wrong. Because a lot of officers wouldn't even admit that they're wrong. They'll just continue with the lie because I got a badge and they're going to believe me over you anyway.
I never even knew that it wasn't her thing, why she got in trouble until she told me. And I told her I was sorry, but she goes, no, don't be sorry.
Mhm.
But I just didn't know, I'm only human. I'm not perfect.
Right.
I mean, I keep saying no one is, but for some reason I get judged. Like it's crazy, but
That's for anyone though, Now, whenever you witnessed other officers not following the rules, did you ever see them in your face do it, and then you had to walk away because you didn't want to be the one to tell on them?
Oh heck no! I'd write on them, especially if it was something really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You can't do that.
Right. So you wouldn't mind writing another officer up?
Oh heck no! Mm-hmm. And they knew that. That's probably why they hated me.
Right.
Because it did something. Because it's just not right. And to be in that place, you have to be fair. You have to be consistent. Because there's a lot of times, well, he let me do this. And it's like, well, you can't do that.
Right.
And that's why you get hated. Because someone else is breaking, policy.
Right. Wow. Now, how would you describe time as an officer, like at Mabel Bassett? How would you describe it to somebody who's just now listening?
Crazy. Definitely crazy. I mean, there was some good times that seeing some people be able to go home, and then I go and look up to see if they, stayed out of trouble and, changed their life. That was a positive, but there was just a lot of negative to it. And like I said, I wouldn't even say the inmates. I mean, you should expect things to come out of people who are lost, if that makes sense.
Right.
But people who the inmates are supposed to look at are no better. What's sad, because they should be able to rely on them. And then when they're not doing what they need to do, it's a mess.
Right.
That's what my problem was, it was rough.
Yeah, I believe that, because I've seen officers. I was even there when I can't even remember his name, and I don't even want to mention his name, but some officer or some of the ladies that's listening, they'll know. An officer got into a relationship with an inmate, fell in love with her, and I want to say his wife found out, and he couldn't take the heat, and he ended up shooting him, killing himself. So it gets to be too much, especially whenever you put yourself in a position thinking that you'll never get caught. But it's like, it can happen one day. You can literally get caught, and you can end up behind them walls right along with us.
Yep.
So yeah, I completely get it. I know it was hard mentally, physically, and emotionally, especially having a child while you're working up there.
Yeah, I actually had 3 of them.
As you was working for DLC?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Now, if we're listening as some of us as previous inmates, and some might be watching from prison, you never know. But what kind of officer would you say that you was?
What do you mean by that?
You said earlier that you were fair, that you...
Oh, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I was strict in a way. Like, I would get onto people for smoking pot, but I was so against drugs. I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And then I think, if they have cell phones, they might be trying to get drugs in here. And I want them to not do that. I know, right. I'm being a mama.
Right.
So
you've sad. Never done a drug before in your life?
Do what?
You've never done a drug before?
No.
Wow.
Well, alcohol is a drug.
It is. It is. But to know that you haven't done any drugs, wow. I see your halo now.
No. Well, I'm not perfect. I can tell you that.
Right.
No, I just seen too many people's lives get ruined by it.
Right. Right. Now, what type of officer do you think inmates would say that you were? Oops, sorry.
Well, I had some say that I was a bounty hunter, and that was some of the elders. And I ain't gonna lie, I missed
the
them 'cause they
elders
were
said that?
Yeah, they were so funny. They were hilarious. They're like, "Oh, you need to be a bounty hunter," and I was like, "Yeah, I might be one."
Right.
And then, I mean, I've been cussed at. It just depends. There were some that hated me, and then there was some that respected me because they knew what to expect.
Mhm.
You know, maybe they didn't like me. That's fine, but they knew how I was because I was always the same.
Right.
And if I was different and every day they didn't know what to expect, and I think that would,
confuse them.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say was the most traumatic moment or thing that happened while you were working there?
Well, I think it would be when this girl, she was like having a drug overdose. And at first I thought inmates were fighting. It was late. It was dark. It was really late in the middle of the night. And I thought with my eyes, I seen inmates fighting. And what it was is she fell off the top bunk. And she was on several different drugs. And I did a call. And they took forever to get down there. And that's another reason why I'd get so freaking mad. Because it's like, come on, this ain't no boy who cried wolf. Y'all need to get down here.
Right.
And I don't remember what happened to her, but it was sad seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I seen inmates fight a little bit, but I usually wasn't even there when they fought because they didn't do that. I'm not trying to brag, but I felt like I had my unit under control for the most part. If I stayed down there,
Mm-hmm.
hardly any fights. Unless they were hidden,
Right.
But they, it wasn't too bad. Like I said, it was just what was so stressful is dealing with the staff. And I could even tell you my second day out of the academy, they had me do visitation.
Mm-hmm.
My second day out of the academy, and an inmate actually assaulted an officer. He was a sergeant of mine. And I heard screaming, and I thought that it was actually inmates fighting in the visitation room. And so I let them doing what I had to do. I was like, okay, y'all go back. And I open the door, and I look over, and the inmate has my sergeant in, like, a side chokehold or whatever. I don't know what you call it. And she's punching him. And I'm like, okay, what the heck? And so I kind of, shocked me because I wasn't expecting that, my second day of the academy. So I thought, well, there's a lot of visitors here. And if I, do anything physical, they're going to think, oh, they're jumping her. So I was just like, OC, I sprayed her. But that inmate, she knew, well, I got to watch what I say. They're going to whatever. She is okay,
Right.
She respected it. She understood. But I handcuffed her. She didn't resist.
Mm-hmm.
And then after everything was said and done, I was getting cussed at on the radio because I sprayed OC spray in the visitation room and contaminated the whole entire visitation room.
Right. I was going to say, didn't everybody get fucked up from that?
Yes, but
it contained the inmate.
To do.
Did they have to stop visitation?
They just went outside. That was my second day out of the academy, though. So, y'all should be like, oh, some people said, oh, good job. And then there were some captains like, I would have done this, I would have done that. And I said, just shut up. Because
you wasn't here and you didn't do it. Shit.
Because I didn't feel like, first of all, why would she be assaulting him? Yes, sometimes that happens, but there had to been a reason,
Right.
So,
right.
And I honestly was shocked because I know she was getting into it with another inmate. So why was she getting assaulted? I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I could not tell you that. But what I did, I got her cuffed, and it resolved it,
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. It was always, I did this wrong. I could have done this. And it's
right.
like, this is so annoying.
Right. Wow. That's crazy. Now, has anything ever happened that like blew the fuck out of your mind? Like you was like, I cannot believe this shit. Like, what the fuck?
Not when I worked there.
Mm-hmm.
Just the stupid staff.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm being mean, but that's the only thing, you know. I mean, because you would think you'd see fights. I mean, you're going to see fights out in public, you know.
Right.
I mean, not really.
Right.
Just
Good.
dealing with them.
Right. Now, have you dealt with, you said you dealt with a lot of family members that were locked up. Have you yourself almost been on the verge of being locked up?
When I was 16,
Mm-hmm.
I assaulted my mom's ex-husband.
Assault?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep, he was very abusive to me and my brother and my sister. Like he was evil, and I just got tired of it.
Right.
But I didn't get in trouble. You know, they realized it. Like he was just bad. He was an evil person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, I could have easily, but no one knows the story. You don't know people's lives. Just like the inmate, yeah, they may have charges, but you don't know their life.
Right.
So.
Exactly. That's why I'm glad we got to have you on here today, because you never know what an officer dealt with or what they were dealing with when they were there. You never know what the exterior that they put on, the front that they put on, and then what they had to be when you wasn't around. And this lets you know firsthand that you weren't in the best position as far as from your fellow, you know, workers that were supposed to make you feel loved and respected and needed and wanted and like they would help you, but they didn't make you feel any of that. And I'm sorry for that, because no one wants to have a job, even if they like, you know what, I really don't have to work here, but I am working here. No matter what, if you're working at a job, you don't want to be working in any position where someone is making you feel less than, making you feel like you shouldn't be there, making you feel like miserable where you don't want to go. No one should make you feel any type of way in a work environment. If they do, I personally say get the fuck on, but that's just me. But you can't run away from everything, and eventually they're gonna have to respect you, and you're gonna have to let them know in a respectful way as well. Like, hey, I don't know if I'm gonna have to take you to the office or something, but you're not gonna keep disrespecting me. So, but some people, they can't bear it, and they will either unalive themselves or they'll quit their job. They won't even give a 2-week notice. They'll be like, I'll give a 2-day notice. 2-day is the day I'm quitting, bitch.
That's what I did. I tried quitting several times, and then they'd be like, you want to come back? We'll do this, we'll do that. But I just had enough of it. So before I had my daughter, they put me in the warehouse. And I was working the warehouse, and I had 2 workers, and they witnessed the bullcrap that I dealt with. And I was pregnant with my daughter, and sorry, dirt just flew in my eye.
It's okay.
I was on.
I mean, that's not okay that it blew in your eye.
I was having some difficulties with my pregnancy, so they put me on light duty. And I have this inmate who's trying to take care of me like she's my mom. She's like, you need to sit down. And I was like, no, I need to work. Because first of all, I don't even know if I was supposed to work because they give them jobs. But I'm one of those people, I can't just sit on my butt.
Right.
And she kept telling me, sit down and put your feet up. And I'll never forget her. I mean, she was pretty cool.
Didn't that make you feel some type of way? Like, wow, you're more caring about if I'm okay mentally, physically, and emotionally more than my employer and my coworkers.
Yep.
Wow. So I know that touched you, you know, and probably made you start softening your heart a little bit more. Your heart probably started softening up every day that you worked there because of the things that you went through. For real. Now, how do you feel that they, oh, well, you know what? I'm not even going to ask that question. So being on both sides of incarceration and employment, How has having a family member being locked up, or how different are the spectrums from having a family locked up and then working in that environment?
So I am okay. Sorry, I'm not really understanding your question.
It's okay. So working in DOC and then having family in DOC, how different was that? Did you ever go visit them? Did you not visit them? Did you stay away because of the system or?
So one of them I didn't see. He actually just got out almost 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They just let him out. He was locked up for 12 years, and they just let him out, and he's not doing good. His probation officer is not doing her job either. Like, he needs help. He needs mental help. He's very can't think of the word. It'll come to me in a little bit. But 12 years is a long time. He was 17 years old when he got locked up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in there, and let's say the word institutionalized is what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he is. And as far as I know, he's on the streets right now because my family could not help him because he was using alcohol instead of getting help. Mm-hmm. He was getting too aggressive. And so my family had to let him go. And that's hard. But, you know, sometimes family's not able to help, you know, and it's sad. But we tried to do what we could by calling the probation officer. I'm like, hey, he needs help. But, you know, I have a lot of kids between my husband and I, so I wasn't able to do anything else than call, you know. But it's sad. And then having other family, they're not in DOC, but they were in and out of jail. My dad already spent time in prison. He got out before I was working. But a lot of his friends were in DOC, and I was like, oh no, hopefully this won't cause problems. I actually met my children's grandmother at Mabel Bassett. I never met her in person. I walked in and I seen her face and I walked right out because, I mean, I had no issue with her, but I didn't want, like, if anyone found out, then I didn't want them to think she was getting special treatment.
Right.
I had to go tell them. And I could also get in trouble, you know, for not reporting it. So I just told them, hey, she's here. I'm related to her. And they just expedited her to a different place.
Right. Now, this might be a weird question, but how long is long enough to help someone who just got out of prison? Or how long is too long? Or when should you give up on your family member? What's the time limit for that?
Well, he was living with my grandmother, and she's almost 80 years old, and he started getting violent with her, and that's why he had to go.
And that's an immediate removal.
Yeah, he could have stayed there as long as he wanted, but he needs mental help, and our mental health is just not good right now, and we need more of it, especially for people who's been incarcerated for so long. And even my uncle, he went to prison for a year, and he got out. Not even a year he was out, he committed suicide. So, like, it's rough, and, you know, I wish people would understand.
Wow, that's actually heavy. I'm sorry to hear that. Did you have any relationship with any inmates or any fellow officers?
What do you mean by relationship?
Like sexual or?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay.
I can message you it. Not inmate, but it's personal, which some people know, but I just don't want to make anyone mad. So
Right. Now, because I know who it is, I do got a question. You don't have to answer this one either. But were you in love?
No.
Okay. Did they ever cause problems for you because of their issues that they had on the yard?
I don't know, because I didn't ever know they had issues. But it was. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure my husband's not out here. But it was just one of those deals that I'll message you about.
Okay. I can respect that. Now, do you feel differently after the situation that happened with your brother?
A lot different.
In what ways?
Well, I mean, I never thought I would ever drink. I was so against alcohol. I would freak out on my family. And then I drank for like 6 months straight. Everybody thought, oh, she's going. People were freaking out because that was just rare for me.
Right.
I missed one of the meetings up at the court, and because I was drunk. And I'm laughing because that was just not me. And I show up to my sister's house. And I look at her, and then I got sick, and then she could just tell. And so I stayed with my brother-in-law while she went to there. And then my family was like, where's Sherry at? And my sister was trying to lie for me. And it was hard for her because she's never had to lie for me before because I've always been good, you know? And like, it was depressing, but I had to keep it together for my kids. And I just prayed that I could be strong because it is sad. Him and I went through so much together that we shouldn't have had to go through in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, who or what helped you get through the addiction?
Oh, the alcohol. My husband that I'm with now. Yeah, he was actually my brother's best friend. I've known him for over 20 something years. So,
oh wow!
Like, it was just crazy how we ended. A year after my brother was killed, we ended up getting together, and it was a blessing.
Wow, that's
because
dope.
I probably would have been an alcoholic, and I just couldn't imagine that.
Wow. How do you feel that you handled yourself working for DOC?
What do you mean exactly?
A lot of times they say you have to have tough skin. Do you feel like you had tough skin while you were working there, or you were too sensitive?
I don't think I'm sensitive. But I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what you mean. Like, I wasn't scared. Like, I'm not scared of nothing. I'm not scared of anything except for, like, my children dying. Like, that's the only thing I'm scared of.
But nothing at the prison scared you?
No.
I know that's right. Sherry, you a gangster.
Not that we had a power surge one time, and it was dark, and I was up there by myself, and I could hear people saying, I bet she ain't going to come down here. But there was a lot of inmates who had seizures. And so guess what? I was like, I went down and I yelled, I'm down here. I did aggravate them. But it wasn't, I never tried to belittle anybody, but I did aggravate them, but not in a bad way. But, life's too short, and, but I'm like, no, I'm down here. Why are you saying that?
Now, I do want to ask you about the relationship that you did have, which I'm not going to ask you about the name or anything, but do you feel like it was unprofessional to carry a relationship with another officer that worked with you?
Probably so, because, I mean, people can look at it any other way. They could say, well, they're ganging up together to do this, If they are going to be in a relationship, nobody needs to know.
Right.
Plus, I'm not saying every inmate is like this, which staff members are like it too. They try to get into your business and be like, well, what about this or this? It's not nobody's business. Personal life should be at home and not at work.
Right. So if you do carry on a relationship with another staff member, then that's, if somebody doesn't already know, then they don't need to know.
Yeah. And the only way that people would know is because they were told by staff members or they overheard, because I try to keep my stuff private. I mean, because no one knew, because I was like, oh, shoot, people probably know my dad or my children's dad or grandma or, and I didn't want them to know that because I could talk about that later. But yeah, there was just a lot of things I just didn't want people to know. I had one officer say I was from Egypt, and the inmates believed it. And I'm like, what the heck? But I know.
Okay,
and so they
Egyptian.
kept asking me if I came from Egypt. I was like, no, I did not.
Oh, wow.
But
now, I do have one more question before we wrap it up.
Okay.
If you could change one or two things that either happened in DOC or that is happening now, what would it be?
I've said it before that there's no rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there really needs to be, because it's going to be a never-ending deal. It's like a setup. That's what I think. Because a lot of people will go in, they make a mistake, they do their time, and then they come out and they're a felon now. And it's like, you come, like with my cousin, they released him. He didn't go to no halfway house or nothing. He just got, after being locked up for so many years, he just gets thrown out there. And it's like a setup, for failure.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's true, though. Because I did 9 years and didn't nobody tell me how to. They thought that these little classes that we took in prison was going to help me just.
No.
It didn't.
It's not enough. There needs to be more, like, groups or something. There needs to be more. I definitely agree with that.
Right. Now, what can you yourself do to help?
I mean, if I end up getting a job being a probation or a parole officer, I'm not gonna be out to get people. I'm just gonna try to encourage them to do good so they can, have a successful life.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I can just keep telling my classmates the truth, because we have all these group talks and they just can't believe it. I tell them stories and they're just like, I never want to work out of prison.
Right.
And it's sad, but I don't, people need to know the truth. They really do.
Mm-hmm. Now, my last question. I know I said that a minute ago.
You're fine.
But what's a truth or something that people would say about a prison or something that maybe somebody doesn't know that maybe you could share with us today? Like maybe a ritual that you guys all do together or something.
I really can't think of anything.
Okay.
I felt like I was an outsider, so I don't know.
Right.
And offhand, I really can't think of anything. I mean, we just had talks before we had our time. Like, we'd go in for 15 minutes early to talk about stuff like that happened. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, I can't. I mean, you can ask me any other question or you can message me, but offhand, I mean, I can't think of anything.
Right. Okay. I definitely appreciate you for coming to the couch. Is there anything you would like to leave everybody with before we go?
Well, just to all those people that, have made mistakes, don't beat yourself up and just try. Just keep on keeping on.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I definitely appreciate you for being on the couch.
You are very welcome.
I will be in your inbox, so don't be alarmed.
Yep. All right, bye.
All right, you guys, it's the Couch Chronicles where it ain't no fucking limits. Of course, I do this every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 Central Time. Follow Couch Chronicles No Limits on Spotify, Pandora, THA Couch on Facebook, TikTok, and Big O. Couch Chronicles No Limits on Instagram, and my main YouTube Instagram, and my .com, which is THA, real JANELL. I'm going to wrap it up actually with a song, but make sure that you follow Sherry on all social media. Her information is in the description. Also, we got the time shirts. So I'm going to end the live with our time song. And shout out to everybody that is locked up. Oh, excuse me. Shout out to everybody that's locked up that got a chance to tune in. And shout out to everybody who got out and y'all still making it. Like, it's hard. It's not that easy. Trust me, it's not easy. But whenever you out here and you still doing what you need to do to get by, you the real MVP. Now, I'm not saying that anybody who slipped ain't the real MVP, because you still are. Shit happens. Shit fucking happens. But it's all good. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I have dropped my mouse. All right. Let's get into it.
Jackpot this. We hit the jackpot this time.
Understand it if
Ay, big time, I did big time. Giving up the music, tell me straight off the front line, I'm not lying. Been watching my mama cry up in the courtroom. Then the judge just dismissed me like I was dumb too. You gon' do, my mind is fucked up, so all I'm thinking is I'm gon' shoot. In reality, said it like it was supposed to. Cat calls down the office with them folks too. Brown bag, bologna sandwich in them jumpsuits. My cellmate just did 100 years on some dumb shit. Damn, is this the end of the days? Cause living in a cell is just like being in the grave. If ain't no money on your books and you ain't eating shit, you better pray that you can mail a penitentiary gift. And for them lonely days, a visitation list from your family and your friends, that's a major lift. And your spirit, all the drama on the yard, you wanna forget it. Yeah. Behind these walls is different, and you wouldn't understand if you didn't live it. Ay, big time, I did big time. Ay, and they took me out the front line. I'm still scarred from doing my time. And everybody say I should let go. I'm trying, but it did something to my mental. Interact the pain, you know I'm standing 10 toes. Now you know, I'm on my own, that ain't wrong. And I know I gotta think different, cause if I don't, then I guess I be the same nigga. Wait, I'm trying to let it go. I'm trying to be a better person so I don't have to get physical. I gotta get my mind right for the limelight. I don't care who judging if they don't know doing time life. Trying to be an example
To my what?
to my fans and all my peoples and my nieces and my nephew. Big slime, I did big time. Sitting in that cold cell in the daytime. Your time be fine, but it's not like the world. No, big slime.
Look at all these
Big
glow
time,
up.
giving up the
Shout out
music,
to my ladies
straight
and
off
men
the
that's
front
out.
line, I'm not lying. And watching my mama cry up in that courtroom. Then the judge just dismissed me like I was dumb too. And the bailiff looked at me like, what you gon' do? My mind is fucked up, so all I'm thinking is I'm gon' shoot. Damn, is this the end of the days? And the cell is like being in the grave.
It's prison, jail, felon talk. If you brave enough to share your story, you are more than welcome. If you want to send your glow up or anybody that's still in that you miss, you can send me their information. You can send me your information. You can also send anyone that has passed away that you want to keep their name alive, because there are people that passed away that we was locked up with. And whether they passed away in prison or out of prison, I want to still keep their name alive because they meant something to me. You guys are my family. Like even some of the officers that used to work up there that don't work up there now, they keep in touch with me. I keep in touch with them. And I know some of you guys do as well. There's some officers that really made an impact in our life, even some staff members. Angela Johnson made a huge impact in my life, and she was at my wedding. So don't think that just because it says correctional officer or officer that they're a police officer and that they not humans, because as you've seen tonight and as you heard tonight, they are humans as well. Sherry went through the ringer in that prison, not from inmates, but from staff. It be your own damn people, don't it? It's the Couch Chronicles, where it ain't no fucking limits. I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night. Love you. I see you, TikTok. Ew. Damn, Leo. Good night, Facebook. Good night, YouTube. I love y'all. All right. Spotify Pandora, thank you so much